baby, what can I do? I'll do anything you want, as long as it's you and me. Well, all that I am saying, all I want from you, just love me like I love you, and it won't be hard to do. Well, alright, okay, you win. I'm in love with you, alright, okay, you win. Baby, what can I do? Anything you want, I'll do, as long as it's me and you. Well, alright, okay, you win. How's that?
It took me 3 years to figure out that LOL does not mean lots of love. And you know, it changes things when you realize it means laughing out loud. I mean, the complexion of things really changes. My wife tries to keep me on the straight and narrow. So one day I said to her, honey, tell me, if I couldn't provide a living for you the way that you're accustomed, would you still love me? And she said, honey, of course I'd still love you. I'd miss you. But the heartbeat is intriguing. It goes thump, 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 thump. And each thump provides a purpose. The first purpose is to feed the heart. And the second purpose is to feed the body. For those that are principle-centered, the same thing occurs. They have to feed themselves intellectually, spiritually. That's the first half of the heartbeat. But the second piece of the heartbeat is feeding the community. So now, again, in thinking about characters in a book, one of the things that I ask myself when I am fleshing out these people is I'm asking, where are they at? Are they principle-centered or are they value-centered? And what does that look like? And is it possible that they will have an epiphany somewhere along in the pages of the book that will move them to being more principle-centered? And you dressed with impeccably, your face is perfectly shined and clean. You maybe speak with a French accent because maybe it will be more attractive to them. A lot of pretense there at that stage. But it's a wonderful stage. It's full of anticipation. Diego was now 18 years old. It was harvest time. The boy worked alongside his father as always, marking the 8th working harvest of his young life. But this year was different. This year, Diego admired a beautiful, barefooted Moroccan girl thrashing the trees with a long stick to drop the fruit to the ground. He could see that the dark-skinned girl was conscientious, but mostly he was enchanted by her beauty. His preoccupation began to show in his work. "What are you looking at?" Francisco asked. "Do you see, Papa, how beautiful she is?" "Who?" "There," he pointed. The beautiful barefooted girl." "Ah, yes, I see. She is very beautiful. You have good taste in women. But she is Ahab and very dark. Does that concern you?" "No, of course not. Does that trouble you?" "Oh, not in the least. It is not the color of her skin that counts. but the state of her heart. I agree. I am sure that she has a very good heart. Oh, you may be right, my son. Oh, perhaps you should speak to her. Second stage is chaos. You know, the problem is that pseudo-community can't last for very long. It's as if a marriage license becomes a license to criticize. You know, suddenly we want to take a moment out of our day to make that person a better person. We feel that it's our responsibility. Diego knew nothing of Francisco's secret resentments and passions. He thought of him only as a wise and compassionate older brother, someone to be trusted wholeheartedly. When they reached the fountain, Francisco laid his hand on his brother's shoulder and spoke to Diego in muted tones. You know, little brother, that you cannot marry this woman. Diego half laughed at the statement, thinking it was an awkward attempt at humor. But then he studied his brother's face and saw only a hardening of his eyes. What are you talking about? I can and I will marry her. Francisco took his brother's arm and pulled him down to the ledge that circled the base of the fountain. Yes, you can marry her, but if you do, it will be a sin against God and all that is holy. Diego stared at his brother, completely baffled by the harsh words. But why? Why would you say such an ugly thing? Because it is God's truth, and you know I am bound by my vows to speak only the truth. What truth are you talking about? She is Muslim. She is not Muslim, she is a Christian. Yes, that is what she claims, but her parents are Muslim, as are her grandparents and her great-grandparents before them. Her roots are Muslim. That is not something you can change with a perfunctory conversion to the Holy Church. Diego's eyes were brimming with tears. I have always loved you, Francisco. And I thought I knew you. But I have discovered tonight that I know nothing about you. Then know this. It is the blessed St. Paul who said to the Corinthians, be ye not unequally yoked with unbelievers. And what communion hath light with darkness? That is the truth. You must not copulate with this whore of darkness. Without thinking and without hesitation, Diego slapped his brother hard across the right side of his face. He stood trembling with fury and grief and turned to walk away. Francisco called out to him, Christ has commanded us, whoever shall smite thee on thy right cheek, turn to him the other also. Diego circled back and squared up on his brother, who sat upright, offering the left side of his face as a target. I will never speak to you again, Diego said. You are dead to me. He turned his back on his brother, took 2 steps, froze for an instant, and turned to Francisco, who was still seated at the fountain ledge. If you want my forgiveness, you have it, Francisco said. Diego was trembling. He slapped his brother so hard across his other cheek, the momentum of the blow sent Francisco to his hands and knees. To get from this stage to the third stage requires a coming to Jesus. I mean, it requires an incredible change of spirit. It's called emptiness, but it could also be called fullness. The emptiness is the emptiness of ego And the fullness is the fullness of spirit. You recognize true community because it sounds like the age of Aquarius. It's full of love and forgiveness and understanding and peace. The wonderful thing about being at community is you can solve almost any problem. If you are at true community, problem solving is a piece of cake. Because you know you can offer all kinds of solutions and know that you're not going to be judged for it. Necessarily. It may be that an entire novel, except for maybe the last chapter, is spent in stage 1 during a honeymoon. It could be that a novel is stuck at stage 2. All I'm saying is that as a writer, you need to be aware that we have at our disposal much more than we might originally think. At the base of our skull is the medulla oblongata, which looks very much like the brain of a tiger. And in fact, it controls our instincts. And so, you know, your fight or flight instincts comes from the very primitive part of your brain. But in the cerebral cortex, we have some gifts, some human endowments, which include awareness and conscience, imagination, and independent will. Those pieces are what help people evolve to a higher level of community, a higher level of spirituality, employing those gifts.
Heaven help us all. Oh, heaven help the boy who won't reach 21. Heaven help the man who gave that boy a gun. Heaven help the people with their back against the wall. Heaven help. Heaven help. Heaven help us all. Now I lay me down before I go to sleep. In this troubled world, I pray the Lord to keep a hatred from the mighty and the mighty from the small. Heaven help. Heaven help. Heaven help us all.